sağ olsun dün Frankfurt'tan çıkıp gelen yayıncı arkadaşımız Jessica Sänger'i ben size tanıtayım önce. Jessica Sänger, Alman Yayıncılar ve Kitapçılar Birliği'nde eksik bir şey söylersem düzeltir lütfen. Orada çalışıyor ama aynı zamanda biz onu daha çok Uluslararası Yayıncılar Birliği'nin geçmişte üyelik komitesinde, şimdi de copyright yani telif haklarıyla ilgili olan komitenin başında diyebiliyorum. Hem o komitede çalışıyor hem telif hakları komitesi başkanı diyebiliyorum. Jessica'nın uluslararası dünyadaki bütün telif hakları ile ilgili ve yayıncılık mevzuatı ile ilgili çok engin bilgiye sahip olduğunu düşündüğümüz için Frankfurt Kitap Fuarı her yıl burada yaptığımız etkinlikler içerisinde Frankfurt Kitap Fuarı'na da teşekkür edeyim ben bu arada tabii. Jessica'yı davet ettik. Konumuz sabit fiyat ve Almanya uygulaması. Onun öncesinde ben bir giriş yapıp belki Jessica'nın da daha rahat bize bilgi verebileceği bir iki bilgilendirme yapmak istiyorum. Sabit fiyat dedikleri Almanya'nın kendi yasası içinde fixed price diye geçen yasa, Fransa'da Long yasası diye, Lange yasası diye geçer. 64'te çıkmış olan bir yasa. Orada kanunlar, Fransa'da yasayı kim çıkardıysa o bakanın adıyla geçiyor. Güney Kore'de yayıncılığı geliştirme kanunu, İtalya'daki adını bilmiyorum ama benzer biçimde yayıncılık ekonomisini, yayıncılığın bir kamu hizmeti gibi gören, eğitimden başlayarak okurların her türlü kitaba rahat erişebilmesi için halk kütüphaneleri ve diğer kütüphanelerdeki kitapların satın alınması ve okura ulaştırılması, servis edilmesini düzenleyen yayıncılık kanunları var. Bizim ne yazık ki telif hakları kanunu dışında bu türlü bir düzenleme Türkiye'deki şeyde yok ama biz geçmişte Jessica'dan önce Bay Strand'dı galiba, Almanya'dan gene hukukçu arkadaşlarımız ve Alman yayıncı arkadaşlarımız gelip burada Almanya'daki bu kanunun detaylarını anlattılar. Sonra biz Fransa'daki kanunu anlatmak üzere Fransız yayıncı arkadaşlarımızı çağırdık. Onlar bize anlattılar. Arkasından Hollanda'daki sabit fiyat uygulamasının ne şekilde olduğunu anlattılar. Biz de arkadaşlarımızın deneyimlerinden ve bu kanunların tekniğinden faydalanarak kendi ülkemizde de bir yazılı kültürü koruma kanun taslağı hazırladık. O taslak bakanlıkların, Kültür Bakanlığı'nın sahiplenmesiyle ve diğer bakanlıklarla da bir dolu görüşme oldu. O görüşmelerin birçoğuna ikna etmek üzere Sayın Bakanımız bu işleri sen gidip anlatacaksın ya da sektör gidip anlatacak dedi. Bununla ilgili de sağ olsun Mustafa Karagüllüoğlu arkadaşımızla beraber Adalet Bakanlığı, Maliye Bakanlığı, İçişleri Bakanlığı gibi bakanlıkları dolaştık. O taslak da şu anda Cumhurbaşkanlığı'nda beklemekte. Biz bütün bunlarla beraber gene de bir altını çizmek ve bu meselenin yayıncılık açısından önemini doğru kavranması açısından acaba bir kere daha bu alandaki şeyi konuşalım diye Jessica'yı davet ettiğimizde sağ olsun o da bizi kırmadı, geldi. Biraz daha açarak konuşmak istiyoruz. Acaba bizim de faydalanacağımız diğer bilgileri de alalım istiyoruz kendisinden. Almanya'da bu sözünü ettiğimiz kanun hangi ihtiyaçtan doğdu, ne zaman oldu, bunun tarihçesiyle ilgili bize biraz bilgi verirse öyle başlayalım. Sonra da ben araya girip çeşitli sorular soracağım kendisine.
Thank you very much, Kenan, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you for this invitation. So the fixed book price was introduced in Germany in 1888. So it's really been around for a long time for us. It's something that was introduced at a time when Germany was not even one nation. And we're a lot less than 100 years old. So it was introduced at a time when it was one language area, but with many borders in between and many complexities to do with that. But the need, I think, was felt to have a secure securely functioning market with a good network of bookshops in order to have a broad variety of titles of quality available to readers. That was the underlying rationale at the time, and it still is. So when the fixed book price system was introduced in 1888, this was an effort that involved my organization as well. Börsenverein has always been the association bringing together publishers, wholesalers, and booksellers together in one organization. We were founded in 1825, and after the founding of the German state at that time, in 1888, this system was introduced. It was, at that time, based on a system of mutual agreements. Basically, you, as a bookseller, you had to promise to sell at the agreed price, otherwise you wouldn't get books from a publisher. And that system developed, it evolved in a number of ways according to the laws of the time. There were a few attempts made at codification earlier on that were not successful, but it was always accepted throughout this period that, yes, there is a restriction of price competition here, but at the same time there is an overarching value to the book as a cultural good, not just something you deal in, not just any commodity, but the cultural value of the book was essentially the reason why this was always accepted. It was in 2002 only, which is kind of late, I suppose, that the system was codified into a law, and that's because there was debate and pressure from essentially the EU competition legislation. There was a discussion as to whether this system could be acceptable under EU competition rules. And the answer to that is yes, not just because it is a law, but because it conforms to a number of needs in the European system, which include overarching principles such as cultural diversity and those values. So the codification only came in 2002, and since then it's a law and it's here. Yeah.
Şimdi tabii iyi bir şekilde işleyen bir piyasa olması açısından ihtiyaç hissedildiğini söylediniz ve kanunlaşması demek ki 2002 ama öncesiyle ilgili bakıldığında belki de bu hani bir ön kabul ve yayıncıların da kabul ettiği, kitapçıların da kabul ettiği bir sistem şeklinde yürüdüğü anlaşılıyor. Peki buna uymayanlarla ilgili yani açalım diye söylüyorum. Yayıncının belirlediği perakende satış fiyatı üzerinden herkesin aynı fiyattan sattığından söz ediyorsunuz değil mi? İster kitap evinde, isterse e-ticaret sitelerinde aynı şekilde öyle satıldığını söylüyorsunuz değil mi? Doğru anlıyoruz değil mi?
Yes, you have that right. So the system is that the publisher controls the retail price and sets this price normally for the duration of the life of a title. It's not just for a short period. In some countries they do it that way. In Germany there's no end date to this price. It can be cancelled at some point during the life of the book, but that's usually when the title is being given up, more or less, when you want it to be when it's leaving the market, you could say. So, for instance, travel guides, when the new edition is coming out, they might cancel the price for the previous edition. This is less important. So there's control of the retail price by the publisher, but of course the margin between the wholesaler and the publisher and the retailer and the wholesaler or the publisher is a matter of negotiation. And there are certain rules that apply to that side, to this inside the book chain, that are also part of the fixed book price law. And there are essentially three rules that govern the limits as to the discounts here. So we have, the first rule is that the publisher must respect the contribution of every bookseller to essentially the cultural value of the book chain delivering books to readers, in that the discount he gives, or this is the margin he gives the bookseller, may not be calculated purely on the basis of volume. That means that smaller booksellers must also get a decent discount from a publisher, even if they cannot sell huge volumes. So the respect also for the smaller players in the chain is established in the law. Then the next rule is that a publisher may not give an actor from outside the book sector, think a supermarket, a garden center, or anybody else wanting to sell books who is not part of the book sector, they may not get a better discount than a bookseller. So there's kind of a protection for those who are invested and engaged purely in delivering books to readers. And the third, and perhaps the most important part of this rule, is that the wholesalers have a certain degree of protection in that their discount may not be lower than the discount given to the final seller, to the retailer. Okay, so you have to give, as a publisher, at least as much of a discount to the wholesaler as you give to your most preferred retailer if you're not going through a wholesaler. So those are the kind of limits on what is otherwise a free negotiation within the sector. So that's perhaps important. I should also mention prices that are controlled by the publisher can be changed throughout the life of a book. It doesn't happen all the time. Publishers don't constantly go up and down with their prices, but of course over the period of the life of a longer selling book, the price may be adjusted according to market needs, changes.
Aktardığından anladığımız birincisi perakende satış fiyatını yayıncının belirlediğinin dışında pazar dışında yani kitapçı, dağıtıcı dışında ne bileyim bir süpermarkette ya da bir gazetenin kitap alıp dağıtma meseleleri içerisindeki yayıncının ona verdiği indirim oranları kitapçıya verdiği indirimden fazla olamaz. Birincisi bunun altını çiziyorsunuz. Mesela sizde süpermarketlerde kitap satılıyor mu? Kitapçı değil ama bizde mesela şöyle süpermarketler var. Her türlü yiyecek, başka eşyaları da satarken kitap reyonu da var. Sizde de benzer bir şey var ve mesela bunları siz kitapçı gibi mi görüyorsunuz yoksa sektör dışındaki şeyler kitap alıcıları gibi mi görüyorsunuz?
We do see supermarkets to a certain extent, but usually perhaps not grocery supermarkets as much as department stores. So department stores that will have maybe food, but definitely clothes and kitchen appliances and all different things, they might have a book section. We do see that, but we don't usually see big stacks of bestsellers in a grocery supermarket as much. Yeah, and we wouldn't consider the department store a bookseller because this means businesses that are focused almost entirely on selling books. They might have some pencils and paper, but you know, their main business being in books, that qualifies them as being part of the sector. Yeah.
Şimdi arkadaşlarımın da anlaması açısından senden daha somut şeyler isteyeceğim. Şöyle anladım. Şimdi sektörde de bizim ülkemizde de küçük kitapçı var. Orta düzeyde büyüklüğü olan kitap evleri var. Bir de zincir kitapçılar var. Aynı zamanda da dağıtımcılar var. Şimdi senin söylediklerinden şöyle anlıyorum. Bir sanki bir indirim ticari şeyler, koşullar açısından bakıldığında kitaplardaki bir indirimle ilgili bir kısıtlamanız var mı? Bizim anlamamız açısından mesela bir kitapçıya, küçük kitapçıya, yayıncı genel olarak ne kadar indirimle kitap satıyor? Orta büyüklüktekine ne kadar indirim veriyor? Zincirlerle ilgili bir mutlaka pazarlıklar vardır. Oradaki indirimler nedir? Ve bununla ilgili yasanızda ya şu indirimden fazla indirim yapılamaz gibi bir kural var mı? Yoksa bu gene pazarlığa tabi, tartışmaya tabi şeyler midir?
Yes, this is of course an important question in practice, but essentially it is subject to negotiation. There is in the law no strict limitation on discounts. There is no minimum, there is no maximum. However, we understand competition law, which is separate from the fixed book price law, to say that if the margin the discount is over 50%, if the publisher is able to give more than 50% to one of his downstream partners, then probably the price is too high, to the detriment of customers. So there's kind of a limit that we understand out of the way competition law works, because that could still be infringed if the fixed price was abused to make prices too high. That would be a problem. So we think that 50% is probably really pushing the limits, and in practice, of course, market power has a role in these negotiations. We couldn't say that, you know, one side of the market is stronger than the other, but certainly big players on either side of the market or in any of the parts of the value chain will always get better deals than smaller ones. But again, that rule that you cannot base the discounts purely on size and volumes does apply. So it kind of it limits the distance between the worst and the best discounts, if you like. It kind of flattens those curves a little bit, and I think that's what really sustains our sector in a way.
Teşekkür ederim ama anladım gene de hani rekabet hukuku açısından 50'nin üzerindeki bir indirim rekabet hukukuna takılan ve orada incelenen bir şey gibi anladım. Oraya kadar tartışılabilir, yani 30, 35, 40 gibi indirimler olabilir ama esas 50'nin üzerindeki olan şeyler rekabetin etik dışı rekabet olduğunu düşünüp orada müdahale ediliyor. Peki bu müdahale nasıl oluyor? Diyelim ki bunu aştı birisi. Bu nasıl tespit ediliyor ve nasıl, ya da ne bileyim perakende satış fiyatından indirim yapıldı. Bu nasıl tespit ediliyor ve bunun bir cezası var mı ve bunu kim takip ediyor Alman hukuku içerisinde bunu kim takip ediyor?
So there are fines for infringement of the fixed price, obviously. You have to promise to stop doing it and pay a fine. We, as Börsenverein, are kind of part of the guardianship of this law, and our legal department, who's the head of legal, was here a few years ago, I think, to describe the law in detail. We do try to intervene. If we hear about cases, we will do that. On this specific competition rule, I think that's more of an understanding in the sector, and it's very difficult to know exactly what's going on there in the value chain. Obviously, these are secret negotiations, and they should be. And for us, as the association, to know too much is a risk. But I think, you know, publishers who are being pressurized to give a higher and higher and higher discount will be able to push back confidently and say, I can't do this because I would have the competition authorities on my back. Now, whether and how that would happen in practice, I haven't seen, but it's part of the general framework around these prices that I think helps in negotiations keep this under control. So we do go after infringers. Those are the easy cases, somebody selling below price. Sometimes people don't realize. Sometimes people are really trying to undercut the system. We usually catch them, and then they have to pay a fine, and they usually stop. So that's not a rampant problem. But since you were talking about the different levels of margins that booksellers will get, this also depends a lot on what kind of title it is. If it's a trade paperback novel that's selling pretty well, it's going to be a bit of a higher margin than a specialist book that is very specific to a small market or an educational book. Those usually have lower margins. We know this from practice, but we don't know the details, of course, because as an association we have to stay one step away from the commercial agreements.
Ama gene de anladığımızdan şunu anlıyoruz. Esas olarak kitapçı, kitap evi, kitabı son okura satan kitapçılar buna sahip çıkıyorlar. Onların lehinde bir şey olduğu için herhalde daha çok yasanın kendi içindeki şeyi var. Hani yayıncının farklı indirimlerle kitap satması başka bir şey, kitapçıya ya da dağıtıcıya, ama kitapçının okura bu indirimsiz kitap satması meselesi kitapçıların sahip çıktığı mesele gibi görünüyor. Yani sadece yayıncının meselesi gibi değilmiş gibi. Yani yürümesi de, sağlıklı yürümesi, kitap evleri buna sahip çıkıyor ve bunun yapıyor. Hatta Bunu ihlal eden kitapçılar da belki size başvurup burada şurada ihlal edilen diye başka bir kitapçı diğer kitapçıyı da yani ihbar edebilir. İhbar kelimesi de biraz şey ama galiba öyle bir yani esas yürümesinin nedeni o mudur?
Well, indeed, it does happen that way. Of course, publishers are also bound by that price. If they sell directly, they must stick to the same price, obviously. And all booksellers have to, whether they're a platform or not. And of course, it's usually the neighboring bookshop that says, wait a minute, what is this guy doing? And they come to us and complain, and then we need proof. But that's exactly the way it happens, because these things happen in public and it's visible, and that's the way it's stopped. And honestly, most people, very often when we see infringements, it's not actually deliberate. So we have a very high respect for this law. Most booksellers completely understand it, want to respect it. Sometimes foreign actors will come into the market, or actors who have been selling books in different languages from different countries to which it doesn't apply. I should say this, the fixed book price in Germany applies to books in German language and or books that are destined for the German market, like you could have a text in English but with German vocabulary annotation, something like that. But generally it doesn't apply to foreign language books. So sometimes people who have been only in that business will make a mistake in the German market, and then they understand and learn and pay and stick to it. Yeah.
Sektörden olmayan birisi varsa içimizde şöyle düşünebilir. Ya bu okurlara ne gibi faydası var bunun? Yani okurların daha pahalıya kitap almasının nedeni bu. Daha fazla para ödeyerek kitap almasına neden olan bir kanun değil mi diye sorabilirler. Bununla ilgili bir cevabınız var mı? Yani okurların bu kanunla ilgili okurlar neyi kazanıyorlar? Ne gibi fayda sağlıyorlar? Yani kitabı mı daha pahalı alıyor? Yoksa kitap fiyatları rekabetten dolayı düşüyor mu? Bunun okura ne gibi faydası var diye bir soru sorsa sektör dışında birisi, bir okur nasıl cevap verirsin?
How much time do you have? Because there are many benefits. It's, I think the original rationale when it was introduced to have a broad selection of books with a broad network of bookshops for readers available in Germany still holds today. And it works that way because you've understood already how there's a bit of protection for the final bookseller. You can have more bookshops in even remote areas that can still survive because, and I think the key to all this, the fixed price is a very secure margin for calculation for everyone in the sector. This goes from the author to the retailer. Everybody knows the price at which the book is going to be sold, and that means they can calculate in a secure way the margins they've agreed on, the returns policies they've agreed on, all these things are fixed to that basis. It also means that the author's royalties that come from the individual unit sales are based always on the same fixed retail price, and that helps authors as well. They're happy with this. And so we have for readers not only many bookshops and very fast delivery, because if you have a healthy system in wholesale, those businesses can have, I think now it's 550,000 different titles available for overnight delivery. In our market, that's a lot of books. So if you go into a bookshop before 5 p.m. and ask for a book that they don't have in stock, the bookseller can order it from these wholesalers and it will be there before they open next morning. So only in this way can you compete, obviously, with online retail. And that's a real advantage for readers, to be able to get literally almost every book very, very quickly. And of course, upstream, the benefits for publishers are that they can have one or two books that they know are going to sell pretty well, because maybe they have an established writer of popular crime novels in their repertoire. They know the next title is going to sell quite well, and then they can calculate on that basis, on this firm basis, and risk more with a debut author, with things like poetry, with titles that are never going to sell really well, but they want to make because they say this is important or this is interesting. So there's a broader selection of books available to readers, and I think that's incredibly important for cultural diversity. This is one of the reasons that the European Union accepts that we have this intervention in competition, because it does aid that diversity in the selection of books that are available. And so I think those are all benefits to readers that are very tangible. But since you touched on price, I think it's very important to look at two things. One is the development of book prices in Germany over the last decades compared to the prices of other consumer goods. And books have been much slower to rise. So books have been decreasing in price compared to other consumer goods for years. And some people also see this as a problem in our sector, that they say, you know, sometimes booksellers say to publishers, this is great, this title, it's too cheap, you know, because the fixed book price is also a cap upwards. You know, it's not just a minimum price, it's a fixed price. And so there's a bit of that discussion, but we have figures to show that it's been below inflation and below the increase in other consumer goods over the years. And the other thing is that we've seen what happened in the UK when they dropped their fixed price system. And this is that overall books became more expensive. So very cheap, big stacks of, I don't know, Harry Potter or something that's always going to be a big seller, very cheaply discounted in supermarkets, furniture stores, gardening centers, but much higher prices than for more specialist books, for niche titles, for even educational books sometimes. And so we think that having a sound basis of calculation allows publishers to have more moderate prices across the range, and not just to have to throw out the bestsellers very cheaply and thereby kind of ruin the margins for everything else. And I think so the overall picture shows that it is very beneficial to readers as well.
Jessica, teşekkür ederim. Şimdi tabii fiyat meselesine baktığımız sistemin, bir yayıncılık ekosisteminin tamamen yazarla ilişkisini, çevirmenle ilişkisini, kitabevi ve dağıtıcı ile olan ilişkisini gene bu fiyat üzerinden yürütüldüğü için belki de sağlıklı bir piyasanın korunması anlamda bir faydası var. Ama okurlar açısından da anladığım şey kültürel çeşitliliğin çoğalması ve o kültürel çeşitlilik açısından da satan kitaplarla beraber hem kitabevinin hem yayıncının gelir elde ettiği ama diğer kültürel çeşitlilik anlamda da diğer kitapların da basılabilir hale geldiğini söylediniz. Peki burada mesela insanın aklına şöyle şeyler geliyor. Bazı kitapların satışları az olabilir ama buralarda mesela kütüphaneler bu kitapları onlar nasıl alıyorlar ve kimden alıyorlar? Yayıncıdan mı yoksa kitabevlerinden mi? Ben Kore'ye gittiğimde kitabevleri kütüphanelere kitap satıyordu. Sizde nasıl? Yani o belki kitabın ilk çıktığında bir yayıncı açısından okurların hani gelir düzeyi bir kitabı almaya uygun olmayan ya da tercih etmeyeceği insanlara da bu kitapların ulaşabileceği ve onların da erişebileceği bir sistem açısından kütüphanelerde durum nasıl? Oralara mesela yayıncılar kitaplarına nasıl veriyorlar? Kütüphaneler bu kitapları nasıl seçiyor? Okul kütüphaneleri nasıl seçiyor? Halk kütüphaneleri nasıl seçiyor ve nasıl satın alıyorlar ve hangi indirimle alıyorlar? Bunun bu konuda da biraz bilgi verirsen belki biraz daha açmış oluruz.
I'm not an expert on how exactly the libraries select, but the fixed book price law makes provision for library acquisitions. And if this is not somebody's private library, but a public library or an academic library, for instance, there is a permitted discount on the retail price for those libraries. And de facto, of course, booksellers will be forced to apply the maximum, which is for certain libraries 10% and for certain other libraries 5%, and this will be applied. when libraries buy. Often libraries source their books through specialized booksellers. This is, of course, particularly academic libraries who also maybe have a lot of journals. They have a certain type of basically B2B sellers who will cater to their needs, but a local library will often also go to a local bookshop trying to sustain, the local book selling business. And in all of these cases, the library discount that is foreseen in the law will be applied. So that's how that works. There are also specific price discounts set by law when schools acquire books for use in the classroom. So there also we have a system where if a school is buying books with public money, they do not pay the full price, they pay a slightly lower price. And there's complex rules around how much of a discount exactly, depending on the size of the order and the use of the books. Yeah.
Ama gene de anladığımız kütüphanelere kitaplar kütüphaneciler tarafından seçilmesi ama kitap evleri üzerinden alınan işte maksimumda indirimi sanki %9 mu dediniz yani maksimum bu kadar indirimle kitabın 10 indirimle yapıldığını ama bunun mesela yayıncının yeni çıkardığı bir kitabın mesela ne kadarı tahminen bu kütüphaneler tarafından satılır? Diyelim ki 2000 kopya, 3000 kopya bastıysa yayıncı ne kadarı bunun şey oluyor ve yayıncılar bunları kütüphanelere ayrı tanıtma birimleri mi var? Yoksa kütüphaneciler mi kendileri bu kitapları izliyorlar? Yoksa dediğim gibi yayıncıların bu kitapları kütüphanelere tanıtma birimleri, satışçıları mı gidip onlara bunların farkında varıp da sipariş etmesini sağlıyorlar? Ama anladığımda merkezi bir alım yok. Her kütüphane kendisi seçimini yapıyor.
Indeed, you're absolutely right. They do, each library selects their own books. I think they follow very closely what's being published, and each library will have its specific community in mind, I think, when selecting these books. I don't have figures on how much, what the proportion is of books that, the publishing output that goes into libraries. It's certainly not very high in Germany, and library budgets for acquisition of books, unfortunately, have been decreasing over the years. We're seeing that. So that libraries are not big buyers for us in the German market. Most sales are definitely to the public, except, of course, for maybe monographs in the humanities, that don't have much of a market beyond the academic space, where, of course, certain series of monographs where you publish things like a doctoral thesis, those, of course, will sell mainly to libraries. They don't have much of a remaining market. But in the trade space, I think libraries are not exactly heavyweights when buying, in terms of buyers that we see. And we don't go out much promoting our books to libraries specifically.
Yine de mesela Fransa'daki arkadaşımız geldiğinde bize anlatırken sektör büyüklüğünü 4,5 milyar avro gibi bir rakam söylemişti Fransız yayıncı arkadaşımız. Onların kütüphanelere kitap alım miktarında 750 milyon avro gibi büyükçe bir rakamdı ve orada da mesela sizdeki gibi bir indirimle kütüphanelere kitap alınıyordu. Siz böyle bir rakam verebilme şansınız var mı? Yani Almanya'da her ne kadar esas bizim satışlarımız kütüphanelerden gelmiyor diyorsunuz ama ne kadardır mesela genel Alman kitap pazarının ne kadar kütüphaneler üzerine kütüphanelerin satın almasıdır?
I'm sorry, we really don't have figures on that. I'm sorry to disappoint here. So the overall size of the sector is just under 9 billion. Turnover per year, but I don't have numbers on how much of that goes to libraries. Sorry about that.
Yani Almanya bu iç pazar mıdır yoksa ihracatta bunun içinde midir? Yani 9 milyar liralık bir pazarınız var. 9 milyar euroluk. Değil mi? Doğru anladık. Tamamen iç pazar mıdır? İhracatta var mıdır içinde?
Yes, it's euros, and as far as I know, it includes everything. Yeah.
Bir soru daha sorayım size. Bu yasanın yasalaşmasını 2002'de oldu dediniz. Ondan sonra böyle gözlenip de aksayan bir yanı oldu mu ve aksayan yan olup da değişiklik yapıldı mı yasanızda?
Yes, indeed. It hasn't been long, but there have been certain changes and adjustments made. So one of them was back in 2006. We needed a clearer definition of what is a damaged copy, because damaged copies may be sold below price, and there were ways of saying, oops, it's damaged, you know. So we needed a clearer definition of what really is a damaged copy. Another thing was that when a bookshop closes and they still have stock in the store, it was not permitted initially for them to sell below price just to clear the premises, and now that has changed. So the bookshop, if they're closing and they know they're closing, they have to give back whatever they can, returns policy-wise to publishers. So where they have a returns agreement, they have to give it back. They also have to offer the publishers to take some back, but once those opportunities are exhausted, they can do 30 days during which they have a book sale. These are sad cases. We don't like to see bookshops closing down, but it does happen, and that was regulated in 2006. And also that the other thing that was changed was that the earliest moment that a publisher could cancel the fixed price was after 18 months. So that's really the minimum duration of a fixed price, with a very small exception for sort of yearbooks that you can cancel after 12 months. And then in 2016, we had an adjustment to the scope of the fixed price explicitly covers ebooks as well. That was always there, and it applied, but it needed an explicit mention in the law just for the, to have that security. But today it's still not perfect, I will say. This law still has some small loopholes, and at the moment we've seen that the courts have not been able to help us in specifically two situations that I could describe to you. The one was eBay, the platform eBay, was offering a seasonal discount on books, and everybody went, duh, they can't do that. But what happened was the consumer paid a little bit less. I think it was something like 5% less for the book. But eBay reimbursed the missing amount to the seller who was selling through eBay, right? So the book seller selling through the platform got the full amount, but the consumer paid less because eBay took up over that discount. And we thought we were going to win this case, but we didn't. And so there's a loophole there. And at the moment, we're just talking to the ministry about fixing this. And I think they want to help us. They understand that that doesn't work out well. But of course, we had to go through the courts, and it's taken some time. So this isn't a very good situation, because the consumer should obviously always be paying the same. That's the whole idea. It seems too obvious, but the court didn't see it the way we did. I have to say I'm glad that it's not being abused widely. Even eBay did not repeat this. But there's a certain insecurity here that we want fixed. And the other thing is another three-party constellation situation where you have parents' clubs at schools. So parents' clubs who get together and say, let's do some improvements to our school. Let's, I don't know, redecorate the classrooms, because until the educational authority pays for this, it's going to take too long. We want to put some nice equipment in the playground or something. And of course, they're always collecting donations for these things. And then Amazon offers an affiliate program where if a certain club or organization sends them consumers buying books, that they get a little kickback, that the parents' club can get a kickback if they put the Amazon link on their website, or if they, link parents through who are buying books. And we think that this also undermines the fixed price, because parents will feel that they should buy from Amazon in order to give their parents' club a kickback, instead of going to the bookshop next door where that obviously isn't available. So there's a certain social pressure to go to a certain retailer, and we don't like that. So those are the two things that at the moment we're trying to get fixed. We are hoping very much for an improvement that clarifies that both these practices undermine the fixed price and the whole idea behind it. So yeah, it's still not perfect. We're working on it. It's a construction site.
Biz de tabii bu şeyin içinde bizim hazırladığımız taslakta da demek ki hasarlı kitabı da bizim tanımlamamız gerekiyor. Bir de biz tabii anlamışız demek ki, belki de gözledik şeyi, dolaylı indirimlerin de yapılamayacağını biz kendi yasamıza koymuştuk sizin deneyimlerinizden yola çıkarak. Şimdi ben şöyle bir şey yapacağım arkadaşlar. Dün Karine Pansa ile dünyadaki yayıncılıktaki gelişmeleri konuşurken özellikle yapay zeka ile ilgili, makine öğrenmesiyle ve telif haklarında yeni durumlarla ilgili Karine belli bir yere kadar gelince dedi ki bunları aslında yarın buraya Jessica geliyor, Jessica'ya sorun dedi. Şimdi ben o kısma geçmezden önce benim bu sabit fiyatla ilgili konuştuğumuz kısımla ilgili soru varsa salondan, o soruları ben Jessica'ya soralım, sonra yapay zeka ile ilgili vakit kalırsa konuşuruz. Teşekkür ederim.
Evet. Erkan Akpınar, İletişim Yayınları. Ben bir konuda yorumunuzu merak ediyorum. Kenan Bey size söyledi, biz yaklaşık bir 4-5 senedir bu sabit fiyat yasası ile ilgili tartışıyoruz, konuşuyoruz. Bir taslağı da devlete sunduk. Orada en çok tartıştığımız konulardan birisi, bazı yayıncılarımızın eğer bu yasayı geçirirsek satışlarımızda ciddi bir düşme olabilir. Hani bunun nedeni olarak da gördükleri şey, yani okur çok yüksek indirimlere alıştı. İşte %30, %40, %50 indirimlerle kitap alıyorlar. Eğer şimdi bunu sabit fiyattan, yayıncının belirlediği o fiyattan alırlarsa bizim satışlarımız düşer. Bununla ilgili yorumunuz nedir? Bir de bununla ilintili aslında şöyle bir şey olabilir mi? Acaba bir istisna okurların alışması için %10 ya da %20'ler gibi bir istisnayla bunu çözebilir miyiz? Belki de okurların buna alışması için. Çünkü şöyle bir şey söyleyebilirim. Türkiye'de çok yüksek indirimler var. Yani %40, %50 hatta daha fazla yapılan indirimler var. Sorun bu.
Yani diyor ki Erkan, Fransa'da %5'e kadar bir sınır var. Başka ülkelerde de %10, %15 gibi internette bir sınır var. Bunu siz nasıl yorumlarsınız?
Well, thank you. Of course, I have no experience of, what Turkish consumers are used to. I would say, if you're able to discount sort of 40-50%, from what, from which base? And if prices are moderate, I think readers will probably accept those. Also, you don't have to go hunting and running around and finding the cheapest offer. But I do understand that this would be a change in the market, and we don't have experience of this because, like I was saying, we've been doing it since 1888, and I don't remember what happened before then. So I find it difficult to comment on how to end a price war because we obviously don't have this experience, but I know that our French and Italian colleagues allow certain small discounts as well. Yeah, so.
Banu Hanım.
Benim sormak istediğim de sizde uygulanan sabit fiyat yasasının kitap piyasasındaki tedarik zincirini düzenleyen bir bölümü de var mı? Yani kitapların hangi yolla yayıncıdan okura ulaşacağını da sabit fiyat yasası mı düzenliyor? Çünkü bizim ülkemizde kitabı da yayıncıdan doğrudan kitabevi de alabiliyor, dağıtımcı üzerinden de alabiliyor, online bir siteden B2B olarak da alabiliyor. Çok çeşitli kanallardan kitap farklı kanallardan ulaşabiliyor okura. Sizde bu tedarik zincirini düzenleyen bir kısmı var mı yasanın?
I think the short answer is it is not. So there is no rule stipulating that you have to use a wholesaler. Publishers can sell direct as and where they find that useful. They can sell to retailers, they can sell to wholesalers, they can use a different kind of distributor as well. So that is open to what works best for each business.
Başka soru yoksa yapay zekaya geçeceğim. Pardon.
Bu soruya bir ek yapacağım Banu Hanım'ın. Aslında biz çok tartıştığımız konulardan birisi de şu. Bizim bu diğer ülkelerdeki sabit fiyat yasasını incelediğimizde sizin dediğiniz gibi yayıncının toptancılara veya kitap evlerine yaptığı indirimle ilgili bir oran yok. Hiçbir ülkede biz bu kanunlarda bunu görmedik. Fakat bizim yayıncı arkadaşlarımız böyle bir oran koymak istiyorlar bizim yasamıza. Kitapçılara, dağıtıcılara şu oranlarla verelim. Sizin buna yorumunuz ne? Çünkü bu rekabet hukuku açısından sıkıntılı bir durum olabilir. Hani bizim belki birçok bakanlığa gitti bu yasa. Orada belirli bakanlıkların itirazı olabilir. Buna bir yorumunuz var mı?
Well, I think you're absolutely right in worrying that could be a challenge to competition. So if you absolutely set the exact discount, then you're getting very close to telling people how to price as well. Because then the publisher has control of the retail price, but the books, which already takes away a margin of the choice for the bookseller. But if then the discount is set by law, then it gives people down the value chain absolutely no margin of maneuver. I worry that might be overshooting the aim in terms of controlling precisely how they can operate, and also making the remaining competition that there is between booksellers, for instance, on advice, on wonderful stores, on a great selection that they're providing to their readers, more difficult to achieve if everybody's operating under exactly the same discounts. Also, we see that discounts vary, as I was saying earlier, between trade books, between specialist books, educational books. I don't know, would that also be then tightly regulated? I wonder. So certainly I think under European competition law that would probably be too much regulation. I don't think the European legislator would accept that, but of course that doesn't apply in Turkey, so that may be worth a consideration.
Aslında benim sormayı düşündüğüm ve geride kalan bir soru da var. Şimdi şöyle şeyler oluyor Jessica, sizde de oluyor mu? Bazı kitapların teliften düşüyor. Yani 70 yıl koruma var bizim ülkemizde, sizde de benzerdir. Bazen de klasikleri yayıncı arkadaşlarımız normalindeki fiyatından çok daha ucuza üretip piyasaya sunabiliyor. Sizde mesela bir sınır var mı? Ne bileyim, forma dediğimiz 16 sayfanın ya göre baktığımızda şu kadar forma fiyatı şu kadar olmalı ve perakende satış fiyatı en azından bunun altında olmamalıdır diye böyle büyük grupların, büyük tekel gibi adlandıracağımız grupların fiyatları aşağıya çekerek pazarı bozma ya da aynı türde ürüne, atıyorum Savaş ve Barış'ı ya da Cervantes'in Don Quixote'unu daha ucuza satmak gibi şeyler olabiliyor mu?
Well, certainly once books are in the public domain, and it's 90 years after death of the author for us, once works are in the public domain, obviously you're not paying the author a royalty anymore, and we do see sometimes that these books are a little bit cheaper, cheap and accessible editions, but not in the same way as I've seen it, for instance, in the UK, which is a free price market, where really you almost pay pennies for those titles. We don't see that in the same way in Germany. Usually you will see that titles that are read in schools so that pupils buy for reading in class, that those are often cheaper and available in thin, small paperback editions, even specific editions for educational purposes, in order for those prices, and often those are classics. That's why I'm saying this now. So for those to be very accessible for readers. But otherwise, I don't really think that the question of public domain really changes the price argument a lot.
Şimdi vaktimiz de çok azaldı. Uyarıldım da 5 dakika diye. Belki 5 dakika daha uzatabiliriz. Çünkü Jessica'yı bir daha bulamayız. Yapay zeka ile ilgili şimdi bir özet geçeyim sana Jessica. Dün Karine ile konuşurken bizim tartıştığımız ve uzun yapay zeka ile ilgili geldiğimiz nokta şu. Eser sahiplerinin, yaratıcıların yaratmış olduğu metinler üzerinden, çeviriler üzerinden ya da eserler üzerinden yapay zekayı kullanarak bütün bu bir bedel ödemeden yayınlanması meselesinin takibi ve bununla ilgili yeni bir mevzuatlara erişme meselesinin tartışıldığı bir döneme girdik. Şimdi sen hem Telif Hakları Komitesi Başkanı olarak Uluslararası Yayıncılar Birliği'nde sen yapay zekanın bugün geldiği hem dün biz fırsatları konuştuk hem de tehditleri konuştuk. Yapay zekanın fırsatlarını dün biz epey konuştuk ama senin de ekleyeceğin şeyler varsa iyi olur. Tehditleri ve bu tehditlere karşı yayıncıların hem kendi ülkelerinde hem uluslararası dünyada nasıl bir yol izlemeleri gerekiyor, nasıl yeni mevzuatlara ihtiyaç var, nasıl yeni lisanslamalara belki ihtiyaç olacağı meselesi kendi aramızda tartışıldı. Sen bu konularda çok çalışıyorsun biliyorum. Bize bu anlamda bilgi verirsen çok seviniriz.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's a big one. I'm happy to respond in a few minutes if I can. So yes, there's absolutely a challenge where AI is no longer analyzing text and perhaps images, but text in order to recognize patterns or trends, in order to extract information about patterns that would otherwise remain unknown. For instance, predicting weather patterns, or maybe looking at how proteins fold, those academic uses of AI, where now AI we're seeing is analyzing text in order to produce text, and analyzing images in order to produce images. And we call this generative AI. And I think this is a qualitative difference between what we saw previously, that I was mentioning, and what we now see really sweeping the market and garnering everybody's attention at the moment. And I don't think it's going to be a short-lived phenomenon. I think this is here to stay. So I think there is a challenge where our works have been used, and I think we should be aware that it's already happened. It was done without permission, it was done without asking us, it was done simply pretending that they could. And I don't think that that is accurate, because in order to do this machine learning, you need to make a reproduction of the work. And that is an exclusive right that belongs to the author or the publisher. And those reproductions were unlicensed. So in the European Union, so first of all, I would say we do not need new legislation to give us some kind of new right to protect ourselves against this. We have the rights. And we should be fully aware that we own the right to reproduction, extraction, translation, whatever it is that's going on. We don't need new rights. Maybe the AI operators need legislation, if they can get it, in order to take away our control. And that's where things are being introduced, like exceptions to copyright, for the purposes of, for instance, text and data mining, which is the step that machine learning requires to go before. So in the European Union, we've seen the introduction of text and data mining exceptions, one for science and one for everyone else, so including commercial operators. And we think that anything that was done before the introduction of those exceptions should have been licensed it wasn't always. And anything done since those exceptions were introduced needs to comply with those exceptions. So that means that if it's for scientific purposes only, not commercial, then the exception is a bit broader. It allows the reproduction or extraction, then the text and data mining, the machine learning to happen, and also the retention of the corpus of text in order for replicability of the science, for instance, to be ensured. The second exception, which is open also for commercial operators, allows also the reproduction and the text and data mining, but it, for instance, also stipulates that the corpus must be deleted after the end of the text and data mining, which I don't know. Do you think ChatGPT has deleted everything? So I think that might not be happening. And the other thing that this exception provides, and this is really important to publishers, it provides an opt-out mechanism. Anybody whose works are freely available on the web, which is where the scraping and the, essentially scraping of the web and those reproductions happen, can implement a machine-readable opt-out. Okay, so text on your website, for instance, that is not behind a paywall, could be read and scraped by these machines unless you apply a protocol saying no scraping for AI, no text and data mining, essentially. And this protocol is now available. It was developed together with the Federation of European Publishers and W3C. W3C are the people who make sure the internet works. And this protocol is there. It can be used. And we do at the moment recommend that you use it in order to protect work. So that's one aspect. Another aspect, so those are the texts that are available there without the paywall. Once we get behind the paywalls, and the scraping shouldn't be happening there, certainly, then we need to think about other considerations. If we, in our business, use AI to experiment and try things out, we need to be aware that if we put text into those machines, we are agreeing to the terms and conditions of that machine, so this AI operator. And those terms and conditions are probably going to say that they then have the right to use and analyze this text for their own purposes, for the machine to continue learning. And we need to make sure before feeding anything into a machine like that, that we have the right to do that. So if I write my own text and say, I'd like it translated to Turkish so that my colleagues can understand what I've written, that's fine, it's my work. If it's someone else's, we need to make sure that we understand whether we have the right to put it into an AI. Because that machine will ingest it and learn from it and copy it. And that requires permission. So I think, those are just two aspects under copyright that we need to consider. And I think a lot is happening now in terms of experimentation. There are opportunities that I'm sure you were talking about yesterday. And there are also risks and concerns that we need to have in mind. And this is a big field. We're trying to do some work about this at the International Publishers Association with a colleague from Singapore who really understands AI a lot better than I do on the tech side, and who's been looking at how his and all our works have been used and are being used. And I do recommend you have a look, because there are some webinars that can be shared with the members as well. So we're trying to stay on top of a big topic here, and I recommend that you all engage with it because it's important. Yeah.
Jessica'ya uyarıları için teşekkür ediyoruz. Aslında çok önemli şeyler söylüyor. Belki ben burada şimdi Jessica'dan bir söz almak istiyorum. Bu yapay zeka meselesiyle belki Singapurlu arkadaşıyla beraber bizim onları tekrar buraya kadar yormadan bir Zoom toplantısıyla bize bir 45 dakika ya da 1 saat bir Zoom toplantısı yapma sözünü versin. Ondan sonra bu kürsüden onu gönderelim diyorum. Ama Jessica'yı bütün bu verdiği bilgilerden ve değerli bilgilerden dolayı da ona çok teşekkür ediyoruz geldiği için. Gerçekten bir alkış hak ediyor bence. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz katıldığınız için.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the very kind hospitality I'm being afforded here. It's a real pleasure, my first time at Istanbul Book Fair. You can come onto a Zoom meeting and we can talk about AI if you've done the homework and watched the webinars. And then I'll ask you questions about the webinars.
Ya bak ödevi de verdi. Ödevi yap sonra gel diyor. Değil mi? Ödevi yap sonra gel diyorsun yani.